Today is a sign of how this action in the streets is affecting lawmakers in state capitals. As shrines were growing around the city, a whole package of police reform bills was growing in the state capitol. New York State Legislature and Assembly passed 10 police reform bills banning chokeholds, repealing 50A, which opens up disciplinary records to the public, making it a hate crime to call 911 falsely. This is working.
No justice.
It has been 14 days since protests over the killing of George Floyd began, and they're still going strong. This is also the 100th day since the first coronavirus case was confirmed in New York City, and today, as the city starts to reopen, about 400,000 New Yorkers went back to work, but there's still thousands and thousands of unemployed New Yorkers, kids out of school, with a lot of time to speak truth to power. Today is a sign of how this action in the streets is affecting lawmakers in state capitals. The New York Assembly passed the Eric Garner anti-chokehold bill. Eric Garner, you remember, is the Staten Island man who was stopped for selling loose cigarettes and had his life snuffed out in a chokehold by a Newark Police Department officer who was fired but never indicted. The city paid out almost $6 million in settlement.
If we don't get it, and we don't get it, Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
But today the legacy is that if the Senate passes this bill and the governor signs it, as he's expected to do, an officer could face 15 years in prison for using a chokehold in an arrest. And that's just one of many police reforms that these folks are calling for. The first protest had 7 people. Yesterday it was 500. And it doesn't seem to matter whether there's several thousand strong or maybe 500 or 700 like this one here. When you see the reaction from the neighbors, people coming out of their homes and businesses to clap and cheer, you can't help but think it's making a real impact. It's fascinating to see how the organizers of these groups, these 4 men at the front here, led yesterday's march, how they managed to propel these crowds mile after mile with chants, the same chants over and over again. But there doesn't seem to be any organizational structure on a national level. But as for how long these will go on, how much energy they can sustain, it's anybody's guess. But tonight in Brooklyn, it shows no sign of letting up. This is the night of George Floyd's funeral. And while a lot of American families probably watched that service and said, I can't imagine what that must be like, these people can. This is the family march, led by family members of Black Americans killed by police over the years. Somewhat of a victory march. If you see on the banner, one of their demands is to repeal 50A. 50A is a 1976 law that shields police disciplinary records from the public. NYPD didn't really use it until 2016 when Eric Garner was killed by a cop with a chokehold. So, with Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York, promising to defund the NYPD, that is, take some of their $6 billion budget and put it into social and housing and homeless programs, health programs, along with the new chokehold ban, the Eric Garner bill, and the repeal of 50A, 3 of the protesters' 5 major demands have been met. This is working. Over the weekend, we saw massive crowds all over Manhattan and Brooklyn. John Batiste, the band leader of Stephen Colbert's Late Show, led a New Orleans-style second line protest, filled with dozens of volunteer musicians who brought their tubas and their trombones, their guitars and drums, and led the most festive protest I've seen so far. Mostly the mood of these has been very focused, very determined, obviously angry, demanding change. By midweek, as shrines were growing around the city, a whole package of police reform bills was growing in the state capitol. New York State Legislature and Assembly passed 10 police reform bills, and on Friday, Governor Cuomo signed 4 of those into law, banning chokeholds, repealing 50A, which opens up disciplinary records to the public, also making it a hate crime to call 911 falsely, and creating new kind of oversight over police shooting investigations. Among those yet to sign, also protects bystanders who record police misconduct and protects those recordings. But judging from the size of the crowds that continue to build, the protesters say this is just the beginning.